You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Low Winter Sun After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Low Winter Sun After Show.
Gotta love that sweet, sweet hustle. Hey everybody, Bing is for doing, and we are here doing another Low Winter Sun after show. This is episode 103, No Rounds. My name is Matt Lieberman, and I'm here with the fantastic and talented Miss Oriana Leo.
Hey there.
Unfortunately, Steph Z could not be here tonight. We miss her. And
She's here in spirit.
She's here in spirit, and she will be back next week. So sorry about the delay from yesterday to today due to a schedule conflict, but we are happy to be back talking about Low Winter Sun, and what a great episode.
Yes, it was.
It really fills me with hope. You know, when you start a new show, and Oriana, you tell me if you feel the same way, when I start a new show, I'm filled with dread, you know, because like any good show could turn bad. You know, you have so much hope for it, and you're not sure whether or not the time you've invested is going to be worth it. And this episode firmly put me in the, oh yeah, it's way worth it camp.
I do agree. The first episode, I felt like there was just so much information and character and backstory, and every episode since then has reaffirmed my hope that this is going to be a worthwhile series to watch. And I'm getting to the point now where I'm truly addicted and really invested in some of these characters.
Absolutely, because they had so much plot to unpack in that first episode. They drop you right in the middle of Brendan's killing when there's so much backstory and trying to understand where everybody falls and where their allegiances lie. But now we're starting to get a lot of color on these characters. We understand them better. There was a lot of humor in this episode that was missing from previous installments. And we're continuing to build out the world of Detroit, and we've moved past kind of mopping up Brendan's murder last week and have moved into the active, okay, how do we get out of this?
Right. And I think it's just funny, the juxtaposition of having some laugh lines, some good, comedy in there.
Yeah.
But this is also the same episode in which we saw a body being sawed up by Brendan. So, but I love that. I love that we were able to kind of have the whole spectrum, because if it's all dry and serious
it's
all
no
the time,
fun.
it's not fun.
No, and
today's episode I felt like was a lot more fun.
Exactly. Last week, I feel like all the fun came out in the Reverend Lowdown scene, who I'm sad to say wasn't in this week, but I'm sure we'll see more of him. Such a compelling entrance.
I kind of think that Reverend Lowdown is like what Snoop Doggy Dogg would look like in 50 years.
I could see that.
Can you see that?
Cooking ribs out in the back.
Cooking ribs, but the gangster that runs the neighborhood and he's got the chin hair.
Sure.
Yeah.
I could see it.
I just want to throw it out there.
You threw it down, but let's get right into this episode. So we open with Joe kind of coming to terms with Katya and with Brendan and with Brendan's murder of Anton Bobek, and we finally get to see what really happened. So last week he said, I saved her life. She's alive. She's across the border. But I don't know about you. I didn't believe him.
I didn't either.
But apparently she is alive. And for a second, we're given this moment where we're like, oh, wow, wait, Joe has morals. He's got a moral center. He couldn't kill her. Maybe he ultimately is a good guy. And then I love that this show just turns it again on its head and is like, damn it, I should have killed her.
As his regret, as he's praying in church.
Yeah, he's just praying to the Lord, God, forgive me for not killing her, for not killing Katya and dumping her in the river.
And just to be the devil's advocate, we don't know that she's alive. Just because Joe didn't kill her doesn't mean someone else hasn't.
That's true. We just saw her get into a car across the border.
Right.
Someone else could have killed her, and that is ultimately Joe's fault.
Right.
By letting her go.
But that was the plan for her to disappear.
Yes.
And also the way he went about it, calling her whore over and over. There was no respect there.
No.
There was really no love there. There was no mention of Frank until the very end. So, he paints himself as this heroic figure to Frank, that I saved her life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saved her life, but,
But that doesn't make him a good guy.
No, it doesn't.
But here's the interesting thing. We still don't know a lot of their history with Katya. How did Frank and Katya meet? What was her role in this whole murder of Anton? How well did she know Brendan? We still don't know how deep Joe goes with Skelos, although we have some idea.
Sure.
And it's going to be interesting seeing these pieces get filled in. I hope we get more every week until we're 100% on the same page with the writers.
Episode 1, you had mentioned that you were questioning, is this a Memento like?
Right. Can we trust Joe's memories?
Right. And I think it's interesting that we're getting so much information in different order every episode. And so everything seems like it will get uncovered eventually, but will it be uncovered truthfully the first time we see it?
Yeah.
Is the question.
Yeah. I want to know, when did Joe become this cold? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because even though, yes, he is a cold person and he treated her like a whore and like dirt, and, he doesn't really have a ton of his humanity, I feel like he had a shred more then than he does now.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, when did most of it go? Because, like, when he told his mother about Brendan's murder last week, it was just like he was saying, oh, and by the way, I forgot to pick up peanut butter.
Right. Oh, by the way, Brendan died.
Oh, by the way, Brendan's dead.
Gotta go.
Gotta go get a Coney. Lafayette. Not American. Which, like, now I'm tempted to go to Detroit. I want to sample. I want to know the difference between Lafayette and American. If someone knows, tweet it at us.
Please do.
Because I want to know what makes the Lafayette so much better than the American.
Now, this is a Coney. This is a hamburger, correct?
No, a Coney is a dog. It's a hot dog.
This tells you how much I know about Americana.
Oh, it's okay. No, Coney Island hot dogs. Nathan's Coney Island hot dogs.
Oh.
And a Coney is a hot dog with, like ketchup and mustard and onions and relish. And it's a fully outfitted
And that's
dog.
American?
Or maybe chili and cheese.
Lafayette's got to have some Cajun spices on it.
Maybe. We're going to find out.
We'll find out.
We're hopelessly outmatched to people who have actually lived in Detroit and know the difference.
Absolutely.
So,
Please
tell
tweet us.
So we've got Joe, this conflicted man of God, who he's got a lot of guilt over things that he has done and hasn't done. His moral center is a bit murky.
I was going to say man of God. I mean,
kind of, or at the very least, he was raised. He was raised that way.
Right.
He has a past in the Catholic Church, whereas Frank, who we know is conflicted, but we don't know how dark he can go.
Right.
I think he was pushed as far as he could go. That murder was the furthest he is willing to go. He does not want to be corrupted any further. And we saw his background as a boxer. He's a fighter. He knows how to pick apart a person and, pummel them into submission at the right time. And he has invested in this young fighter who he has beat him up later in the episode. So it's kind of interesting seeing him as a detective, but also as this kind of gifted pugilist. And I'm wondering if he used to be a pro or if it's just something,
I don't
some
know,
kind
but
of
I'm
hobby.
really impressed with your line of thinking right now.
Well, it's just
You've just taken it to a whole nother level.
Oh, well, thank you. But it's just every little shred of evidence that we're getting about these people colors who they are and the kinds of thinking that they have. And since we have so little other information,
right,
all we have is these little pieces to kind of piece together these people and their past. And I feel like this was a very economically written
I agree.
episode.
Also, we got to see Frank's sense of humor when he said, "You had ass to spare, sir."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he kind of came back and showed a little bit of his personality.
He came to life.
He came to life.
He's kind of coming out of the gloom of, I just killed the guy.
Right.
And now we're starting to see more of Frank as he is. This is Frank semi-normal.
And also coming out of that grief about Katya.
Of Katya, exactly. The fact that she's alive has lifted his spirits considerably, or at least that she may be alive.
Absolutely.
Possibly alive. Hopefully alive. We don't know yet. Here's a question. Why do you think that Frank had his boxer beat him up.
I was thinking the same thing. My feeling about it is that getting a good beating would assuage a little bit of his guilt. He feels tremendously guilty, and he can't tell anyone, he can't confess, and humans have this intense need for confession.
Yeah.
That instead, by picking a fight and getting pummeled, that was the next best thing. That's just where I was going.
I hadn't even considered that, because I'm such a plot guy. I'm
Right.
like, he's doing this so that he can achieve blank. But that actually makes a lot of sense. He's got a lot of guilt, a lot on his shoulders, and he needs to release that energy in some way, and he needs to feel the pain and the shame of what he did. I understand that. On the other hand, we have this sketch artist that comes in to talk to the witness, which we're going to get to in a second. And these sketches come out, and my thinking was he wants to get punched in the face so that he looks even less like his sketch.
And I thought so too, but then I immediately thought, well, he's going to heal back up. So,
Yeah.
and everyone knows what he looked. I mean,
Yeah,
I couldn't really
it's not
make
much. Yeah,
I couldn't go too far with it.
and Boyd knows that he didn't have a bruise on the day of the murder.
Right. So I was really just thinking about his emotionality. He's such an emotional guy.
Yeah.
And for him, he has no one else in his life. He's no one to turn to, no one to release this to. He's married to Joe,
Yeah.
and he hates it. And it's like, so picking on this kid that he knows is a winner to beat him up as a loser, kind of.
Exactly. And I think he hates himself for marrying himself to Joe without thinking about it just a little bit more.
Right.
He made this very impulsive decision that has effectively ruined his life.
And he was too emotional because it was about Katya.
Yeah.
And he made this emotional decision, this rash decision without being an investigator and having his investigative hat on. And I think that's what's breaking him up inside.
Totally. It's 100% the antithesis of who he is as an investigator, as a cop, as a man.
Right.
He's someone who breaks things down and then is incredibly effective in solving them. And I'm wondering if it's going to be obvious to his bosses that something's up with this case if he's so good at his job and then suddenly the leads just aren't coming in.
That's what I was thinking, especially when Joe's talking about,
We
have
gotta
to pin it
this
on somebody.
someone. Yeah.
Obviously, that is conflicting, Frank, but it seems like it would create even more conflict within the department, that this is the best guy. This is the guy that always figures it out.
And he's stumped.
And he's going to be the one that lets it go cold?
Yeah.
Never. He would have never done that before.
No.
Why
but-
all of a sudden? That would seem fishy.
Well, it's not that he's letting it go cold. It's that they haven't found the person. There's a difference. The difference there is Joe is willing to allow someone to go to jail or die for what they did. And Frank is willing to ruin his reputation to protect anyone else from being hurt.
Okay.
And that, I think, shows him as sort of our moral center of the show.
Sure.
He made a rash decision out of love and mourning, and ultimately it screwed him, and a man lost his life. A bad man.
What
but
do you
still.
think about the red urine? The kidney beating, because Frank gave Joe a good beating last episode, right?
Yeah.
And he kept saying, this is how you do it, right, Joe? This is how you do it, so there's no marks. And he was giving him kind of internal bleeding, hitting him in the kidneys. And then today...
He's peeing blood.
Right.
Joe's peeing blood. Well, it just shows what an effective beating it was. Symbolically, it's kind of saying there's blood in the water, And it kind of probably reminds Joe of the river that he wished he had thrown Katya in, and the river that they drowned Brendan in. Very
good.
much could be playing on his guilt there.
You impressed me today.
Oriana, stop. You are making me blush, and most people are listening to this on iTunes and they can't even see.
Well, I want everyone
my
out there
face.
to know that you're not feeling your best today, but you're really
Thank
bringing
you.
it.
I have a sinus infection. You guys didn't care, but
You're bringing it.
Thank you.
So what I was thinking too about having the red urine was that there's a storm inside him.
Yeah.
Like Joe is suffering too, as much as he may not show it. We don't know what the internal struggle is about Joe, and we may not care as much because he's not the most likable character.
Yeah.
But he's got pain too.
He's already underwater. He's already drowning, and he's trying to drag Frank down with him because misery loves company. You know, he doesn't want to be, not only does he want to survive, he doesn't want to be the only one who feels like crap about this.
Absolutely.
He needs someone else with him, because otherwise, who else does he have to talk to other than his mother, who he can't tell anything? Or, you know, his sexy bartender friend.
Right.
Yeah.
So both Frank and Joe have this in common,
Yeah.
that they're alone, but together.
Yes.
How depressing.
Right. And Boyd, who, oh my God, Smarmalade was
Smarmalade
back
alert.
in force this week.
Remember, he said, "I'll get well without you."
Yeah, he's such a creep.
He is a creep.
He's such a creep. He's so dry, and it's like, it's such, from like an acting standpoint, it's such an odd choice to me. Like, it makes sense for who this character is, but in the context of all these other people who feel very kind of lived in and kind of normal, this guy, he's like a serial killer or something.
He's very, I don't even know. He's well groomed.
He's
poised,
crisp.
polished, crisp.
crisp but brittle. You know what I mean? like he was left out after a rain and just dried too little, and just like you could touch him and he just shatters.
Yes.
But he just gets under your skin, and he's trying to get under their skin. Frank decides that the only way that they're going to be able to find out what Boyd has is for Frank to flip on Joe, or at least make it seem as though they're playing. He and Frank are playing this game of cat and mouse, and what we don't know, and what we may not know for a while, is how much is Boyd letting on, and how is Boyd playing Frank? Because he says, Frank asks him, you know, why do you trust me? He's like, you're the one I distrust the least.
Right.
But has Frank done so great a job and had been so effective that is really plausible?
I think it is, but it scares me because it seems like Boyd knows something.
Yeah.
But he's also corrupt. Remember the duck hunting comment? He was hoping that the detectives would take him duck hunting. He seems like he would like to be taken care of.
I don't know that that's necessarily what that implied.
What did that imply?
I think it was him saying that you know, like, I go duck hunting, I'm patient. And Frank said something to the lieutenant along those lines toward the end of the last episode. It's basically like, I know how to kill, and I know how to wait for the right moment to do it. You know, you can stymie me all you want. You can block me from your crime scenes. You can not give me information, but I'll wait. And when you screw up, I'll be right there, and I'll get my man, and I don't need you to help me.
He's the most unlikable character, but I feel like it makes sense in the sense of, if he were a police officer,
Yeah.
he would be the most unliked police officer.
Because he's in IA.
He would, but before that, he would be the number one candidate to send in to
Yeah.
IA.
Oh,
because
totally.
Everybody would hate him already.
Everybody hates him already. Where else is he going to work?
Right.
But then you see him at that memorial. Everybody's dropping their badges
badge.
into the beer, which was like such a cool little thing. And I'm wondering if that's like a real Detroit police thing. And he just looks so awkward off in the corner, just like a little awkward penguin.
by himself.
Yeah, he's just there to let them know that he's there and to stir up emotion. But he's not talking to anybody. He's not drinking. He's just standing there like a creep.
Like a creep.
Yeah, like a duck hunter. I mean,
Yeah.
who hunts ducks? But creeps. It's no.
If you're a
offense.
duck hunter, tweet us.
Yeah, no, don't. Oh well, you can. It's a free country.
And so
I don't know. I'm curious whether or not he has more information than he gave Frank.
I'm sure he does. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just a slimy guy. I figure he's going to try to play Frank. He's probably going to try to play Joe. He's
Yeah.
going to try to play anyone he can to get what he wants and win.
Yeah, and I'm sure, honestly, I'm sure there's a part of Frank that wishes he could just spill everything, spill everything that he knows about Joe to Boyd if he wasn't tied to this murder. If he wasn't
Sure.
tied to this murder, I'm sure he'd let Joe hang. He'd let him hang for all the other stuff that he did.
I also think the detective in Frank really wants to get to the bottom of Joe.
Oh, absolutely.
How dirty is he?
Well,
how deep does it go? How far does it go?
Especially because he fooled Frank. You know, a cop, especially one with his good detecting skills as good as Frank's, you know, they don't get fooled often. And when they do, they're pissed.
Yep.
Pissed enough to fight somebody till you get beat up. I want to just talk really quickly about iTunes. Thank you to all of our listeners for watching the show or listening to the show.
I love iTunes.
I love iTunes too. And we are on iTunes. And the best way that you can support this show, if you like it, is to go on iTunes and review the show. Rate us. We love 5-star ratings. So if you want to make us happy, we would love one of those. And review us. Let us know how you're feeling about the show. Let us know what we could do better, what you like about it.
And tell your friends.
And tell your friends to listen to it, because it's the definitive home of low winter sun commentary.
Great to do while you're driving.
Yeah.
I like to catch up on my after shows while I'm driving.
Sure, or work, or what have you. Wow. But please do, and please keep commenting on YouTube and tweet at us. We love joining in the conversation with you as much as you love joining in with us. Okay, now we're going to talk about the witness. He shows up, and you knew that something big was about to happen, because the tense music started creeping up as Frank and Joe barged into the police station. This guy saw two men, a black guy and a white guy, take Brendan out of a Ford Explorer, put him in his car, and speed him into the river.
Lift him up on a jack.
On a jack, and then speed him into the river.
Right.
So Frank and Joe quite skillfully destroy this witness.
Quite brazenly.
Yeah. They give him cold coffee. They make him uncomfortable. They get him angry. And they invalidate everything that he said in hopes that their boss would just throw it out.
Right.
However, they also made him so unsure of his own memory and his own testimony that the sketches that he gave to the sketch artist are garbage.
Right.
Yeah, you know, like the one of Frank, he's got hair on the sides. He's got like a big bulbous nose instead of Mark Strong's very prominent, you know, stork-like. It's a big nose.
It's a big nose.
It's a big, strong nose.
Do you think it could be seen from less than 100 yards away?
I think you could see that nose
with 20/20
from
vision.
3 football fields.
Wow!
Away. It's a big nose. It's not an It's not in an offensive way. He's a badass.
It's a handsome nose.
It's a handsome nose. I was about to say it's a delicate nose. It's not a delicate nose, but it's prominent. It's powerful. It's a source of his virility. It's his Samson's hair. If someone were to shave off his nose, he'd lose his power.
He absolutely would. And I think I love that they discredit this witness in the sense that I'm a big fan of like the first 48 and Forensic Files and the real nitty gritty of detective shows.
Okay, so from your perspective.
So from my personal perspective, I liked how realistic that was, because eyewitness testimony does tend to be a little shady. You only remember so much. As they kind of confuse the witness with what did he see or what did he remember.
Yeah.
And the suspects were sitting right in front of him and he didn't recognize them.
Absolutely.
So they were really playing with that. And even when they get out of the interview and he mentions, well, he said Ford Explorer. And he said, I got
own an Explorer. Yeah. And he did that earlier in the episode too. You know, does he look anything like me?
Quite brazen, I thought.
Yeah, he's just throwing it in the guy's face because he knows he's protected, that the guy has nothing.
Right.
You know, there's so little specific. There are so few specifics in what he has to say that he's a useless witness.
Right.
But he's enough to get the deputy chief off of the lieutenant's back. Right. So they're super excited about that.
I don't know where it's going to go, and I'm a little concerned because I was hoping that we were going to get to see the way this played out between Joe and Frank and their fight of Frank wanting someone or Joe wanting someone to go down for it and Frank not.
I'm sure that discussion is far from over.
Yeah. Especially
once the case starts to go south, because as for right now, they feel like they have the upper hand. They're ahead of Boyd. Boyd knows that Joe is in deep with Skelos. He probably knows more than he's letting on, but that's really all he knows. He doesn't know anything about this murder. There's nothing tying them to the murder, no forensic evidence tying them to the murder.
just the tap water and
just
the
the
lungs
tap water
is the only thing throwing it off.
Yeah, but they don't. It's not specific enough that they would know where the tap water came from, and
the time of death was also thrown off.
exactly.
In
And
their
because of that, they're also kind of like thrown clear. So for right now, they feel like they're ahead of the case. When things start to turn sour, we may return to Joe wanting to pin someone with this, and he may be able to sway Frank on it. Who knows? Anything else on this witness before we move on?
I don't think so. I mean, you just brought the name of Skelos up, so that kind of sparked some things in my imagination.
Okay. Well, we're going to get to Skelos in just a second. I just want to talk really quickly about a movie called The Adventures of Serial Buddies. It is a dark comedy created by Kevin Undergaro and Maria Menounos, who founded AfterBuzz TV. It was released earlier this year and is now available on serialbuddies.com and on iTunes, as well as video on demand. It's a really funny movie, a dark comedy that's super twisted about serial killer friends.
If you love to laugh, you should watch it.
Yes. It's loaded with celebrity cameos. Maria herself is in it. Beth Bears from Two Broke Girls. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher McDonald, as many people remember from Happy Gilmore. Henry Winkler is in it. Artie Lang is in it. It's a great movie.
What a cast.
Yes. It's a great movie. It's available for $4.99 to rent, $5.99 to buy, and every red cent of it goes back into AfterBuzz TV. We put out around 60 shows a week here, all for free. None of us hosts get paid. All the money goes into keeping this network alive and giving you great free content. So if you want to support us and help us continue bringing you great free content, buy the movie, rent the movie, and you get some great entertainment and also help us keep bringing you more entertainment.
Well said.
Thank you. Let's talk criminals.
Woo-hoo!
Okay, so we had some movement on the Damon and Maya Callis front. We learned a little bit more about their relationship, about Maya's past. We still don't quite know what Skelos' tie to her is, but we
Right.
have an idea. So Maya has an ex-husband or a dead ex-husband. We don't
Right.
know for sure.
Not sure. Sean was his name.
Sean was his name, and he was the owner of the International. Damon is the son of someone who worked for Skelos, so he's been in with Skelos his whole life,
Right.
ostensibly.
Although his father was obedient like a dog,
Yes.
according to Skelos, and Damon is not.
Well, the way that Skelos talked down about Damon's father, I imagine that Damon growing up thought that his dad was a chump. You know, you should be running this town. Why are you taking commands from someone like Skelos, this old man? You know, what are you doing, Dad? I could do it better than you.
It would explain the chip on his shoulder.
Absolutely.
Certainly.
Yeah, if his dad was just, some enforcer, he of course he wants more and he's hungry, so he's setting up this abandon on the east side of town. And he's trying to get it open as quickly as possible so that he can pay back Reverend Lowdown for his protection.
Now, Reverend Lowdown, a.k.a. Snoop Doggy Dogg in 50 years.
Sure.
We still don't know exactly what it is that he runs, right? I mean, we know that he's in on his territory.
He runs everything in his territory.
Everything?
In his territory, I
Okay.
imagine he would.
So
Drugs, prostitution, gambling, anything that goes on in his territory, he has a piece of it.
So he's got to give his cut from the abandon
Yeah.
to
Reverend Lowdown because it is in Reverend Lowdown's territory. He couldn't build it in Skelos' territory without Skelos knowing about it.
Right.
So he built it in Reverend Lowdown's territory, and he brought on Nick at Maya's request to help him build it. Nick, who's still in kind of an emotional freefall. Apparently he's been crazy since he was a kid. It's not just the Afghanistan PTSD.
Right. That was maybe a trigger.
Yeah. But, dude, I feel so bad for this guy.
I know.
He seems like he is about to snap at or cry at all times. He looks like he's on the verge of tears at all times. And I just want him to be happy.
I know.
I just want him to be happy, and I don't know if it's ever going to happen.
Well, even if he is happy killing people,
Yeah.
do you want him to be happy?
A little.
Okay.
Just
checking.
I mean, as long as they're bad people, right?
As long as they're bad people.
Yeah.
On the scale.
On the scale, maybe it evens out.
Okay.
I just want him to be happy for a second, and then maybe he goes to prison.
Okay.
And he could kill people in prison.
I'd like to just note that Damon has put together a pretty nice whorehouse.
Yeah.
They ran they burnt the wires, and they stole some generators by using Nick's information and wielding some
copper pipes.
Some copper pipes in order to get what they wanted, and ski
in
masks.
broad daylight with witnesses.
And I was commenting that it's Detroit. I mean, maybe that's just what happens.
I guess. I mean, it was a pretty
It's
brazen...
a junkyard.
Yeah, but how did they fit the generators into his Dodge Challenger, which is such a flashy car? If you're going to be a criminal, unless you're the guy, you drive a shitty car.
Did you notice how clean it was as well? It was
It
like
was
spotless. It was a little bit,
Yeah, it stands out.
A little bit suspicious.
People remember a brand new Dodge Challenger.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe he should cut back on the excess.
I think so too. Also, but I was noticing they had chandeliers in there.
Yeah.
They had really good lighting.
They had satin hanging off the walls.
All running off generators. I mean, he
know.
got that together quickly.
Like that.
Boom. It's probably because of all the coke he's doing.
Yes. He probably isn't sleeping.
Isn't sleeping
He
and
looks
is being
like he
highly
hasn't
productive.
slept in 2 years. Yeah. But Skilos is very familiar with Maya. He's probably known her for many, many years, watched her grow up.
But it's weird. There's a
Super
real
creepy.
creep factor about
Oh,
it. Like
yeah.
he wants her
So bad.
and she has a understanding of that in some way. She
Mm-hmm.
tolerates it.
Yeah. Well, it seems like she may have been one of the girls that worked for him for a while.
Like a prostitute.
Potentially, or
Oh,
at the very
geez.
least a stripper, So on that
I'm going to
level,
hold out for stripper just because I like Maya.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can still like her. She might have just been
Stripper with a
pushed
heart of
into a
gold.
hard situation, But he's probably seen her. It's in some state of undress. There's a vulnerability there and an understanding there. It's a lived-in relationship.
Sure.
But I don't think that he has necessarily ever touched her. I hope so. I hope not, anyway.
Maybe we'll find out.
And it may be the reason why Damon hates him so much.
Could be
why
true.
he hates Skilos. And Maya now pushes Damon to off Skilos. Damon wants to be Skilos, but he is not Skilos.
He is so not Skilos.
Skilos is careful. Skilos is a mob boss.
He's older.
Yeah.
He has cojones.
He has cojones, but he also knows when not to make waves. He's like, this dead cop thing, it's too much heat. We're all
Bringing it back
pulling
in.
it back
Absolutely.
until this all blows over. He is a smart criminal. Damon is like a hungry young pup. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
So if he kills Skilos, if that even comes to pass, because he'll probably fail at that, but if he kills Skilos, it is not going to go over well for Joe.
No.
Joe is going to get dragged back into this.
Oh, wow.
There's no way that he doesn't, because when Skilos dies, all of the meticulous, maintaining of his criminal empire and any evidence that pertains to it, that's all gone.
Absolutely.
Because Damon's not going to care about the details.
No, Damon's an idiot.
He's an idiot.
He's an idiot. Anyone that can say, I am Skilos. He said, I'll be Skilos.
Yeah.
And then Maya comes back and says, if you want to be Skilos, Skilos has to be gone.
Yeah.
Like, you have to replace him. You can't just be the next Skilos.
Here's the reason why he'll never be Skilos. He's sitting in the dark, unfinished whorehouse, sampling the coke that he stole off the drug dealer in the first episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not really good business practices.
No.
No, business 101.
Dude's a moron. But hopefully we're going to get some advancement next week. I think it's time that we move into predictions.
Ooh, okay.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, Oriana, what do you think is going to happen next week?
Well, as we are seeing, I think there will be more uncovered.
Okay.
So it may not happen in the future. It may have happened in the past, and we'll get to learn more. I think we're going to see more of Katya and her involvement with Brendan.
Yeah.
Maybe some more flashbacks to those scenes and Joe. We're going to learn more about that information. The show ended with Frank going to Canada, kind of retracing those steps. So I'm thinking we're gonna go there and have an adventure of some sort. I don't know what.
Okay.
But Frank seems to be really carrying a torch for Katya. He's listening to the voicemail over and over again of her just saying yes. So something that I feel like that is where we're going into the next episode.
Okay. I agree. I think I think Frank's attention is going to be divided between the case and trying to find Katya up in Canada. I don't know if we find her next week or find out if she is in fact dead. I think that things are going to start developing a little bit on the Danny front. Like, not too much because, you know, like, he's still in love with Katya. But if Katya turns out to actually be dead up there, he may succumb because she totally wants him.
She totally wants him. He has a twinkle in his eye for her.
It's true. I think that Joe is going to be drawn back into the criminal element and that Boyd may catch him at some part of it. We'll see next week. Oriana, where can the people find you?
The people can find me on Twitter at Miss Oriana Leo and also at Be the Best Guest. That's my blog, and you can check it out at BeTheBestGuest.com.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. You can also find me here on AfterBuzz TV on the Breaking Bad and Under the Dome after shows. Have a great week, everybody. We will see you next Sunday. Thank you.
Thank
From
you.
Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.